what we're actually grieving over, it isn't actually the person, it's the feeling that we got from that person, or the feeling that that person gave us, the energy that that person gave us. The question is, what is your suggestion around best ways to process dark emotions such as anger and grief? Great question. I'm sure a lot of us can connect into having these emotions which we don't want, and seen as dark, we want to release and move beyond and move on. So when we're looking at, let's focus on grief, right? So grief can show up in many forms, many ways, and grief is also connected to having too much what I call radiant energy or fire in the body as well. So grief is around, as I spoke before, it's around anger, it's around rage, it's around resentment, it's even around jealousy as well. So you need to look at those aspects and where they show up in your life and deal with what's created those with your grief to move that on. But a very simple process you can use for grief, and I'll use this in relation to people when they've lost a loved one, if they've passed the other side, or if, they've lost a relationship and they're grieving over a relationship. It's a very simple writing process that you can use to be able to balance things out. Now, the reason we're going to use this writing process is because what we're actually grieving over, it isn't actually the person, it's the feeling that we got from that person, or the feeling that that person gave us, the energy that that person gave us. And when we can understand where else we can get that, or where we can get that within inside ourselves, it means then we can move beyond that grief. Yeah. So what it is imagine you've got two columns, and on one column you write the person's name who you're grieving over, and then you write down all the feelings that that person gave you: love, connection, happiness, joy, resentment, depression, whatever sadness, whatever the feelings are that that person gave you, write them down on one column. And then once you've written all those down, go into the next column, and I want you to write down where in your life now can you get those feelings? And write down the people, write down the environments, the scenarios where you can get those feelings. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pick one of them each day, and you're going to go and get that feeling. You're going to go to that person, go to that environment, do what you need to get that feeling. Yeah? But if you want to go even deeper and further to then assure that you don't have to rely on others to, when you're in these scenarios of grieving, is to then create another column and ask yourself where you can get that feeling from inside yourself, how you can create that feeling inside yourself. Yeah? It sounds so simple, but it works like you wouldn't believe this process. I've had people that have been grieving for years over, lost parents mainly, and they've done this process and they've, started implementing one thing each day, and literally within the process it has shifted, and then, following the each step or one different step each day for a week, they'd completely moved beyond it. Yeah, they couldn't believe how powerful this simple process was. So that's just around grieving. And then, best ways to process other dark emotions is another writing process. So you can use this for all, let's say, dark emotions, because what happens is these dark emotions or these emotions get trapped inside us because we haven't processed them. We haven't actually given them attention, right? Because imagine in life, yeah, it's like, when you have arguments with people and when you give them attention and you acknowledge, for instance, okay, I did step over that line. I was, a bit mean there. I was cruel. Had anger, and I didn't have to be that angry. It diffuses the whole situation, right? So when you acknowledge these emotions, these feelings, these dark energies within inside yourself, what it does is it turns those unprocessed energies into processed energies and emotions, so then they can then move out of the body, or if the body needs it, the body will uptake that processed emotion because it's then fuel that the body wants and needs. Yeah. So a simple writing process to do this, for this is, so if you grab a pen and paper, you write down the emotions, or the feeling. Let's use anger in this scenario. So you write down, anger is my. And then just write down what comes to you. So anger is my fear. And then you write down my sadness, my rage, my happiness, my whatever comes to you, write down and keep writing till you've got no more answers. So you keep asking question, anger is my answer, anger is my answer, anger is my answer. So you've got no more answers. And then when you've got no more answers, you write, I am anger, anger is me. And that's it. And you can do this process with many or any feelings that you have. Yeah. And so for these negative, dark emotions, this is all you need to do, because you're acknowledging these emotions, these feelings, which is then enabling them to go from unprocessed to processed so that they can move out of the body. And what it also does is it enables your brain to comprehend what those feelings are actually doing or giving you, right? I've had it, with people before where they'll have sadness is my love, for instance, yeah? And it shows that this person would get sad whenever they were craving love, right? It was the link, the bond that had been created for them in early years in life. Whenever they get sad, their parents would come and love them and cuddle them and give them that attention. So they created that bond between sadness and love, yeah? So when you see where that bond is and have that awareness, you're like, and realize that you can get love from yourself and from other aspects without being sad, you can disengage that bond between that emotion, that negative emotion and feeling, and something positive for you. So you can remove that and still have that, positive aspect of, in this scenario, of love. Yeah. Again, very simple process, works like you wouldn't believe. Go ahead and do it. Do it as many times as you want and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And even so, for instance, in the example, anger is mine, if you get other emotions that are seen as dark or negative to you that come up, go ahead and do the process for those ones as well. Just keep doing the process for all the different dark, negative emotions and feelings so you can open yourself up to be aware and comprehend what they're doing for you, so then they can be processed and released and moved from the body.